I want to play that. I know just the thing.
How the hell do we wind up like this?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I am Speedy4, and welcome to the very first episode of ModTro64, the show where I basically pick a game and, well, just talk about it. Now, some of you may be wondering what the heck that box was in the opening bit of the video. Well, allow me, dear viewer, to perhaps enlighten you a little bit. But first, I just gotta take this over here. DropMix is a game that was released back on September 20th, 2017. It was developed by Harmonix, the same guys who worked on Rock Band, Dance Central, Amplitude, Super Beat Sports, Arnica, and, more recently, Fuser, an upcoming game which uses the same technology in the game I'm talking about, DropMix. And this game was published by Hasbro, of all companies. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love me some Hasbro. There are all kinds of classic properties like Transformers, G.I.Joe, My Little Pony, and Monopoly. But you have to admit, it's a little odd that a company like Hasbro publishing something so niche in the market. But think, Nintendo did something similar with the NES back in the day, so who am I to judge? So what exactly is DropMix in the first place? Well, to put it simply, it's a collectible card / board game, as well as being an app on your device. But real talk, it's these three components: the cards, the board, and the smart device, whether it be a smartphone or a tablet, working in tandem with each other that makes this game so unique and one of a kind. So why exactly am I talking about this game? Well, to put it simply, I feel like it's a game that needs to be talked about, because how many games out there do you know that combine art, music, and gaming all in one device? Or it's simply all in one card game? I can't think of anything else other than, like, DropMix. Also, at the beginning of this video, you saw me watching a trailer for a game called Fuser, which I happen to have a hat of. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to PAX where it was, like, properly demonstrated to everyone, and pretty much everyone freaking loved it, but also because I really wanted it, and I got this off of eBay, and it was worth every penny. However, if I raise awareness of Fuser with this video, I also can raise awareness about its predecessor, DropMix. And perhaps, well, I don't know, maybe if I talk about it and people actually gotta try it out for a change and maybe raise some sales, maybe we'll finally get season 2, I don't know, maybe. But in order to do that, I first have to show you how it works, and to actually talk about it. And in order to do that, there we go, we have to go right over here. Whee! For the uninitiated, when you first start DropMix for the first time, you get the DropMix Starter Kit, and inside the box you'll get the board, along with 4 packaged-in playlists. Sweets, a pop playlist, Highness, a hip-hop/R&B playlist, The Blade, a rock playlist, and Controller, an electronic/dance playlist. And this all comes together in the same starter kit. However, even if you have everything, you can't play the game properly until you download a free app onto your Android or iOS device. One thing I want to clarify real quick is that earlier you saw me laying these out. Now, I repeat, when you get new cards, they do not come in a cassette case like this. This is just a personal thing that I do to protect my cards. But you do have to admit, it does look nice. And also, if you're wondering, no, they also do not come pre-sleeved. So, this is what a deck normally looks like. And this is what a deck looks like when it's sleeved. Got the difference? Okay then. Now, when it comes to the actual cards themselves, what on earth do they do? Well, if you notice, they each have different colors. Yellow is normally for the vocals or the lead instrument, red is for the melodic loop, blue is for the beat of the song, green is the bass of the song, and then you have these white effects cards, which, granted, they aren't from any songs and they're just samples like a cowbell or like a drum beat or something like that. However, they do special effects in the competitive modes. But none of that matters, because this is the coolest thing in the entire game. The wild card, which has all 4 parts on a single card, and when you drop it on the board, it does something really cool. Now, before I can demonstrate what the wild cards do when you drop them on the board, let's actually talk about the game modes that you use the cards in. Now, when DropMix first originally launched in 2017, we originally had 3 modes: Clash, Party, and Freestyle mode. But then, sometime during September 23rd, 2018, we got a brand new mode called Puzzle mode. Now, I will explain all 4 modes in time, but for now, let's head on over to Freestyle mode so that I can show you the magic of DropMix. So you get into Freestyle mode and just say, oh, I don't know, maybe you want something from Meghan Trainer's All About That Bass. Well, don't worry, because we got that covered. Nice. But now you're just saying, oh, perhaps maybe I want, I don't know, the drum beat from the Chainsmokers' Closer. Well, we got that covered. Oh, but now you want the horns from Panic at the Disco's Emperor's New Clothes? I got you, fam! But let's say you want to go, I don't know, old school. Maybe some Gloria Gaynor I Will Survive will satisfy your needs? Or you just want to say, screw it, go super old school, and go to Jackson 5. Now, all of this is well and good and all that, but let's just say you just want to throw everything completely out of whack and just slap some Skrillex in there. And that, right there, is the power of DropMix. Taking any song that you can think of, provided that it's a card in the first place, and just taking those each individual parts and just making something completely random and unexpected out of it, and it's sounding good. Sure, you can make a bad mix, but those are really hard to do. But most of the time, anything that you can think of and throw together, it'll end up sounding good. And in fact, really good. In fact, when I was coming up with like what would actually work, I was not expecting this mix to sound as good as it does. So, I am just going to save it, because that's the thing you can do in this game. And not only is it a thing you can do in this game, but you can also save your own mixes that you create from any of the other modes in the game. You can also listen to other people's mixes as well. So basically, you can compile a huge list of mixes made by both you and the community. In fact, how about I show you firsthand? This is a shared mix. Any mixes that weren't made by you will automatically be called a shared mix. And this mix was made by someone in the official DropMix Discord, which there will be a link provided in the description down below. Now, getting back on track, you see this little icon in the upper right corner? all you have to do is click on that icon and you can share it via social media, whether it be sending it directly to Discord, making a tweet on Twitter, posting it to Instagram, or actually copying the link to the actual mix itself. And anyone who has a DropMix app can automatically download it directly to their device. However, you cannot make a video file of a shared mix. You can only do that with your own mixes. Let me show you how. All you have to do is go to one of your mixes that you made. Here is one of mine. And all you have to do is click this little camera icon in the upper right corner, and you can choose how long the video is or the quality of the video. I usually go for full high, because that way you can listen to the full mix without having to directly download the app. But if you have the app, you can listen to this on loop until you decide to stop listening to it. Now, that's enough talk about cards, freestyle mode, and all the mixes you can save. Let's actually get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the actual game modes that you can play. Actually, before we jump in, there's something I forgot to mention about the cards, so I'm just going to quickly go through it real quick, and then we can actually jump into the actual game modes. So if you were to look directly at the cards, you'll notice a couple things about them. I already talked about the color, so we don't need to worry about that, but you'll see these symbols on them. This little volume indicator in the upper left corner is the level of the card. You have your level 1s, your level 2s, and your level 3s. And they always go in sequential order. So you can put a level 2 on top of a level 1 or a level 1 on top of a level 1, but you can't put a level 1 on top of a level 3 or a level 2. It's basically just logical progression. And then you have these symbols on the bottom, which indicate what type of instrument the card is. You have your microphone, which represents the vocals. You have this bugle horn, which represents any brass or woodwind instrument. And then you have these drums, which obviously references the beat. Then you have this guitar or bass. Then you have this violin representing all stringed instruments. And then you have these keys, which obviously represents either pianos, keyboards, or synths. And then you have this turntable, which is obviously for sampled content or miscellaneous instruments. And finally, you have this little icon in the bottom right corner. Now, what these icons are is that it tells you what playlist this card is from. However, I will talk about the playlists later in the video, so we'll just skip that for now. Don't even get me started on the effects cards. I mean, look at all of these. They got so many different symbols, and they tell you what the card does. And it would take me a long time to go through all of these. So, instead, I'm going to provide a link to the DropMix Wiki in the description down below, so you can look through it in your own time so you can see what all the effects cards do. And now, no more waiting around. It's time to roll up our sleeves, grab our cards, and...
So let's just jump into it.
To start, let us first talk about Party Mode. Party Mode can be played with either 1 or 5 people, getting 30 cards if it's just 1 or 2 people, and 15 cards for everyone above 3 players. The goal of Party Mode is to get a high score, and you get points by filling out requests from the in-game audience. The kinds of requests they can ask will vary from placing a certain level card of any color to placing a certain color card of any level. Certain instruments, or other times, they'll either ask you to straight up remove colors from the board, or they will ask you to push the DM button, which will spin the Equalizer! The Equalizer is a wheel that will spin and land on certain sections, and these sections correspond to the level card on the board. This huge slice is for level 3 cards, so this is the easiest one to hit. Then this medium slice is for level 2 cards, this small slice for level 1 cards, and this teeny tiny little slice right here is for X. And when you land on the X, you remove all cards, allowing you to start the mix over and being able to fill out more requests from the audience. Now, like I said, you get points for filling out requests for the in-game audience. But the faster you fill out said request, the more points you get. And if you have exactly the kind of card they're asking for and you slap it on the board quick enough, you'll get 1,000 points for them. But careful, if you don't fill out a request in time, you'll miss your chance. And that request will not get filled out. But if you try to do something that wasn't requested, you'll get a party foul, and you will lose 1,000 points for it. So pay attention and be patient. But there is some good news. Since wildcards have all 4 parts on them, they can count as any color. And effects cards will either fulfill the request, provided it's the right level, or even more useful, bypass a request. But the downside to this use is that you don't get any points for it. It's all about strategy, quick reactions, and pleasing the crowd. Now, I never tried this mode with other people, but I would imagine this would get pretty chaotic real quick, trying to work together and fulfilling the requests while trying to get those requests out in time to get the maximum amount of points. It is a good single-player challenge, but you gotta make sure you shuffle your cards really well, because there have been cases where I had a handful of one color, or they were all high-level cards. But overall, I give this mode 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have Puzzle Mode. This mode is kind of similar to Party Mode, whereas you fill out requests, but some big differences you have here is that you only get 30 actions. And instead of getting points by filling out requests from the audience, you get points by clearing blocks. The bigger the block is, the more points you get. Also, instead of worrying about what the audience wants, every card you play is entirely up to you. And you can decide when you want to spin the equalizer. But everything you do, from placing a card or spinning the equalizer, you use an action, which is basically a turn, and you only get 30 of them. And you need to strategize how you use your turns. But there's some positives. You only need to worry about the level of the card or the color of the card, and blocks of the same type will stack. Also, you see these rows? These rows correspond to spaces on the board. You have the yellow-red slot, the red-blue slot, the blue slot, and the blue-green slot. And these blocks can branch into these other rows. And theoretically, you could have a block go into all 5 rows, but that is super hard to do, because when you clear certain blocks with a card, blocks you didn't clear will fall and either stay as a single block or merge into a larger block. And like I said before, the bigger the block is, the more points it's worth. But if you manage to clear a full row in one go, you'll get a full clear bonus. But if you don't clear a row after the next turn, more blocks will appear. And if the row is full, you run the risk of getting an overflow. If you don't clear blocks to get rid of the potential overflow, when the next turn hits, all the rows that had an overflow will clear out all blocks. You're forced to remove all cards in that slot, and you don't get any points for it. So this mode is all about trying to make the biggest blocks you can, and then clearing them out to get as many points as you can under 30 turns. But there are some things to help you out with this. Like I'd mentioned earlier, you can spin the equalizer. And while you can use it to remove cards off the board, you can also remove single blocks of a level you do not have on the board. This can be incredibly useful for clearing out any unnecessary clutter. And for more positives, the effects cards can pretty much get rid of all single blocks and whatever level block is associated with the effects card, which can be super useful if you're looking to stack blocks with other blocks of a similar type, allowing you to rack up as many points as you can get. And when those 30 turns are up, you get one last hurrah and try to clear out as many blocks as you can. Then the game ends and you see how high your score is. And if you do well, you can best the in-game high score. I've had lots of fun with this mode, figuring out strategies to get the biggest blocks I can and then clearing them out while also clearing out smaller blocks in a way that I can hit 2 types in one card placement. Plus, the mixes you can make in this mode can generally sound great. I give this mode 4 out of 5 stars.
Flora versus Highness.
And now, I saved the best mode for last, the piece de resistance of DropMix, if you will. It is now time to talk about Clash Mode. This mode is by far the most competitive and fun mode of DropMix, and might I argue, the most alluring thing about DropMix in the first place. In this mode, Up to 2 to 4 people can play in about 3 different setups. 1 against 1, 1 against 2, or 2 against 2. With single players getting 30 cards or 2 playlists, or 2-player teams getting 15 cards or 1 playlist each. And as I mentioned it before, but now it is time to talk about the playlists. Playlists are made up of 15 cards and they come in 2 varieties. Playlist packs are made up of 1 wild, 2 yellows, 4 reds, 4 blues, 2 greens, and 2 effects cards. And then you have the discovery packs, which are preset 5 packs which include pieces of other playlists in the discovery set. But once you have the completed set, you are left with 1 wild, 3 yellows, 3 reds, 3 blues, 3 greens, and 2 effects cards. But what they have in common is that when you add up all the levels, they equal to 30. And there are 2 seasons. Well, 1 season and half of a season, but we'll get into that later. We also have a secret playlist and 1 optional playlist, meaning you don't have to get it to complete the collection. But they are nice to have though. Anyway, let's get back into the game. You and your opponent take your cards and the equalizer will spin, deciding who will go first. You play cards to get points, and each turn you get 2 actions. You or your opponent can place cards on the board to get a point for each card you play, or either of you can spin the equalizer, which will land on one of the 3 levels or X, and what the equalizer lands on, you or your opponent has to remove that level card they have off the board. Or if either of you land on X, they have to remove all their cards. So make the right decisions and don't just spam the equalizer. But there are a couple things in the game that allow you to get more points. For example, you see these flashing lights? This means that if you place a card of that color in these slots, instead of getting 1 point like normal, you get a color bonus, giving 2 points for each color you play. But the real point gainage is the effects cards, because if you were to look at the symbols on the card, you'll see they have requirements. And if you fill them out, you'll get more points for filling the request of the effects card. It can be pretty simple, like 1 point for each guitar card you place on the board, or draw 1 card so that you have an extra card in your hand. Other times, they can get more complex, like 3 points for a yellow-green pair. And if you fill out the request of the effects card, you can get this weird modulation filter applied to the affected cards on the board. Also, if you manage to cover the entire board with your cards, you get a full mix bonus. And if you keep this full mix, you'll get a point for each consecutive turn. This is, of course, super hard to do, so you probably lose it immediately. However, like in all the other modes, if you drop a wild card on the board, it'll take control of the entire mix and adjust it to the BPM and key of the wild card. This helps keep the pace of the music changing and not feel stale. But you're probably asking, why are we getting points anyway? Because the first one to get 21 points wins the round. This is probably the most fun mode out of the entire bunch, and I feel this is the biggest drawing factor of DropMix. Whenever I busted this out with friends or family, we have such a fun time making music and trying to see who will win. I've also seen people taking DropMix to parties or social gatherings, and they basically become a DJ. And that is really cool, to be honest. Overall, I give Clash 5 out of 5 stars.
So, as you can see, DropMix is a really cool and unique card game. In fact, the audio mixing technology in this game is so good. However, despite how good it is, it was cut short in its prime.
Season 2 of DropMix was off to a really good start. We got 8 new playlists, and the last 2 playlist packs, Rhymer and Phase, got redesigned packaging that uses less cardboard. I mean, look at it! It looks so good! This is an aesthetic choice I like. But then, silence. Me and the rest of the DropMix community were waiting for new cards to play with, the potential new mixes we could get. However, it wasn't meant to be. Because on August 23rd, 2019, we got an announcement from Harmonix.
Later this year, Harmonix will assume control of the DropMix app and server support from Hasbro. While there are no new plans to introduce new cards or boards, DropMix features and functionality will not change, and we plan to support the service indefinitely. There will be an update to the app to facilitate this change and introduce support to the latest versions of Android and iOS.
Now, the way this is worded, it sounds like they're not outright discontinuing DropMix. But the mention of no new cards or boards being made pretty much says that DropMix is done for. And that sucks, because we have half of songs that will never be completed, and wildcards that we'll never get to play with. In fact, the biggest bummer is that we were originally going to get 4 new playlists before the announcement. These 4 playlists are referred to by the DropMix community as the Forgotten 4. I also call them the Neglected S's, but that doesn't roll off the tongue as smoothly. These playlists were Sasso, Slumber, Shifter, and Swelter. Do you see why I call them the Neglected S's? Anyway, we don't know much about them, but what we do know is what their wildcards were going to be. Sasso's wild was Andrew WK's Party Hard. Slumber's wild was Big Countries in a Big Country. Shifter's wild was Smash Mouth's All-Star. Such a missed opportunity! And Swelter's wild was Laza Morgan's This Girl.
And that sucks, because after listening to them in my own spare time, I would have loved to make mixes with these cards. However, enough to talk about like DropMix's shutdown future and whatnot, because despite this, the game has a really cool community. In fact, it was thanks to the DropMix community that I got the idea to store my cards in cassette cases, which, you have to admit, they look real nice. But that's not the only thing I saw in the DropMix Reddit. I've also seen a custom playmat, a modification to the board, which puts a power button on it, a carrying case, which carries everything, fan-made card ideas, wink wink, and someone actually managed to get DropMix working on the Switch. That is freaking cool. And I've also seen other things, like helpful advice on what to do in case your card is not working or if the board is facing some technical errors or something like that.
But as for other things I did not mention in DropMix, well, you can scan your cards to add to your collection. Also, you notice these things in my footage? These are badges. And they're basically achievements you can get for playlists. And when you have all the cards, the playlist icon will get a gold color. But when you have all the cards and the badges, the playlist will get this cool rainbowy effect applied to them, signifying you have completed the playlist. However, I haven't gotten all the badges, but I'm working to fix that problem after this video. Also, if you notice, the only 2 playlists to have this rainbow effect applied to them are the playlists Baffler and DM. One thing I neglected to mention until now are the hidden and special playlists in this game. Baffler cards are a secret 16th card to a playlist pack. Each time you buy a playlist pack, you get 15 cards from the playlist you're buying and 1 secret Baffler card from the Baffler playlist. However, all the cards from Baffler are level 3 cards, and using all of them would be, let's face it, kind of problematic. Now, if you're actually interested in getting this game and prefer not to know what the Bafflers are, then skip to this time to avoid spoilers. I'll give you a few seconds. Are we good? Did all the people who clicked the timestamp go away? Okay. So with the Baffler cards, they're usually unique or odd choices, like the vocals from Len's Steal My Sunshine, or the guitar from Wipeout. Not odd enough for you? How about some Johann Sebastian Bach, or Ludwig van Beethoven? Still not weird enough? Then how about some beatboxing, or the piano riff from Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles, or some synthy whale noises? Oh, I got it! Excerpts from Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And that's not even the weirdest thing. I haven't yet talked about DM, or as everyone in the community calls them, the promo cards. And as you can expect, they were promotional cards given out at events to hype up the sale and demonstration of DropMix. 3 of them are Hasbro properties, and they're the themes from Transformers, G.I. Joe, and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But one of the promo cards is special. It comes from the game Pyre by Supergiant Games. You know, I may actually have to play it and do a review of it sometime. But getting back to the promo cards, as you can see, all 4 of them are wild cards, so you already know what the wild cards do. But since you won't come across them on a normal basis, these cards from DM are optional, so you don't have to get them. But again, they are nice to have though.
But the biggest question to wrap up this entire video: is DropMix worth getting in 2020 and beyond? In my personal opinion, I would say yes, but in reality, I'd say maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love this game to death. In fact, it's one of the few card games that I could actually get into. I know that DropMix is done and over with. I mean, unless Harmonix wants to prove me wrong. But it's their choice, so I respect it. However, it's not all for loss. I mean, think about it. In the beginning of this video, I was reacting to the Fuser trailer, and if you really think about it, Fuser is just the spiritual successor to DropMix. Little bits of DropMix live on in Fuser. I mean, you have the colors, the instrument icons, the whole music mixing aspect of it, and that girl, she is wearing DropMix art. And look at that! Smash Mouth! So, if you're one of the people out there that owns DropMix and actually want more of it, then you should definitely check out Fuser when it comes out. Or, if Fuser has interested you, then you should definitely think about getting DropMix. I mean, on Amazon it's like $28.99 for the starter kit. And the playlists themselves have actually gotten a little bit cheaper. I mean, not all of them. Some of them have actually gotten a little bit more pricey for how rare they are. However, despite all of this, I know that DropMix will definitely go down in gaming history for how unique of a concept it is. So now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go groove to a mix I just made.
Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I put a lot of time and effort into not only making this video, but getting all the footage I need and the support from my friends and family. I also want to give a huge shout out to Haley D. Lim on Instagram, Mismit.doodles on Instagram, and Drowsy Showers on Twitter for accepting my commissions to do these pieces for the proposed wildcards. It looks so good! Links to their social media pages will be in the description down below. Also, I hope you're all safe and healthy, and if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you want to see more videos from me in the future, then you should probably hit that subscribe button down there. That'd be super cool, getting new videos from me and seeing what else I talk about. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day, and until next time, I'll see you later.